Hello and welcome to the After Tools podcast with me, Andy Jones, and my co-host today, none other than
Today, am I only the co-host today? Am I? I'm Wayne,
special
by the
guest.
way, if you don't know who I am.
Everybody knows.
Thank you very much for the intro, Andy.
Mixing it up a bit.
Yeah, got to keep the listeners in suspense. Who is it going to be next week? Who knows?
So be a bit of a quick fire one today, because we want to get some feedback off the back of this podcast. We want people to reach out. We want people to tell us if they're in this situation. It's super common. A lot of the lads that join Alliance will tell us that they've been in this position, and they can't quite figure out why. We will touch on it briefly in this shorter session today, as some of the key points, but we want you to reach out. So mine and Wayne's contacts are readily available. You can WhatsApp us, you can email us. Obviously, WhatsApp's the easy one. You can send a voice note if you want while you're driving along in the van with your problems. No commitment. We do a free call that you can jump on. Just have the call, have a chat. As you all know, me and Wayne both like to talk, hence why we have a podcast. So it's no problem talking about the shit we talk about on the podcast and we talk about to the lads in the Alliance every day anyway, to someone new. We both enjoy helping people. That's why we do what we do. So it's basically, flat out busy but still broke is probably the second most common or the first most common two sides of the coin on this. People are either quiet or the other end of the scale where they're really, really busy, but when they look at the bank account, there's fuck all in it. So that's what we're going to touch on today, really. And it's a surprisingly large amount of the guys that we speak to who are nice and busy. They're even thinking about maybe taking on another engineer or another electrician, roofer, whatever the business happens to be. But they're concerned about the numbers as they don't feel like they're making enough money to take someone on. So they've got enough work to take someone on, but have they got enough money coming in to take someone on? Most of them, it's no, and that's generally because they're a little bit stuck in a few particular areas.
Yeah. And before we dive deeper into that, we forgot to mention that we are running a free 1 hour strategy call with myself and Andy, or it might be one of us or both of us, depends on the timings. But if you want to be in with a chance to win a 1 hour strategy session with one of us, all you need to do is share one of our episodes on social media and make sure that you tag Off the Tools in it, or tag myself or Andy. As long as you tag either the Off the Tools page, me or Andy, we will enter you in. And this will run from now till the end of April. And then we will do a draw for the winner. So anyone that enters, you can enter multiple times. So if you want to share regularly, please do. Every entry will be on its own merit. So if you want to share it 10 times over the course of a couple of weeks, that will give you 10 entries. And the session will be really, really a deep dive. We'll be going through a workbook that we've created, and it will go through all of the foundational stages that we talk about, which will be strategy, time, and money management. So make sure that you share what you see. That would be brilliant. Right. Sorry, Andy. I just thought I better get that in the mix before people listen on.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So, a few key points really just to touch on. Such a common conversation piece with us, really, but it kind of starts with underpricing. So, not charging enough, and there's a few reasons why people do it. Generally, stuck in from when perhaps you started the business way back when, is point number one. Two, you've probably not increased your prices year on year as a minimum in line with inflation. A lot of that is born from a safety protection thing. You want to hang on to the customers you've got. You're scared if you lift your price that they will go elsewhere. And the a lot of the time the prices are generally born from when you do a bit of a ring around when you start the business, or you ask on the forums what's everyone charging for X, Y, and Z, and then you kind of charge that. But the reality is, and this is why you're busy with but making no money in one line really, which is you haven't got any numbers based around your pricing. So you'll have all heard me talk about before, me and Wayne talk about the pricing calculator that we have available for Alliance members. And the way I look at it, and the way I say to a lot of people, it's like, well, if you were to start a business tomorrow, you would work out what the business costs to run, and then you would work out what kind of profit you want to make, and then you would engineer your pricing structure off the back of that. You wouldn't ring around and see what people are charging and then charge that just for the sake of it if the numbers don't work. Because if the numbers don't work, then there's no point in starting the business. If you need to make £100 per job to start the business, and you ring around and everyone's charging 80, and you think you can only charge that, then don't start the business. Start a different business.
Yeah. It's a rather simple statement, but very, very important. And so many people fall into that trap, don't they?
It actually, like, again, we're on the other side of the fence, so we kind of know the lay of the land with it. But it really boggles my mind now to think that people will, and this comes back to the accidental business owner scenario. There's lots of shit hot tradesmen who work for themselves and are accidental business owners. But the pricing structure in the industry has previously been mostly defined by the engineers, tradesmen, whatever they happen to be, area they're working in. They've defined the pricing structure. Whereas what it should be defined is, as we've just said, by what you need to run the business, what you need to make the right profit in the business. So if you bring a business-minded person into a trade business and they work out the numbers, it isn't going to align with what the going rate is in the area. This is why so many lads in the Alliance are kind of like breaking the mold, and people think they're expensive, and customers will say the same thing. You'll get a lot of the guys are scared of getting no's that we speak to. Oh yeah, there's too many no's. It's like, well, you're going to get that because the pricing structure in the industry has been defined by people who don't know how much to charge. So yeah, to get back on track with that, you're not making money because you haven't worked out what you need to charge. You're just charging what you think you can charge, and now most of the time that's not enough. As we move forward in time, it's becoming even more apparent that it's not enough because inflation's whittling things down. VAT threshold is not as high as it should be to make the same money from 5 years ago, things like that.
Yeah, couldn't agree. Obviously, another key thing is having no structure, isn't it, in the business, and not having any systems. Everything relies on that one person, like the last episode we spoke about, doesn't it?
Yeah. So inefficiency is a good point on that, because then you can, without having a system in place, a job management system in place, and just systems and processes in the business, you then end up. So a post that caught my eye this morning, people talking about online bookings.
Yeah,
online bookings are good to a degree, but you have to have the right structure around them. A lot of guys are using online booking systems in their job management software because it avoids the need to have admin staff. It avoids the need for them to answer the phone. However, the problem with that is you're giving a lot of control to the customer. So, for example, it could be a scenario where somebody books the first available slot in the day at one end of your patch, and then someone else books the second slot at the other end of your patch, and then someone books another slot at another end of your patch, and that creates that chaos in the diary where you might only get 4 jobs done, whereas if it was structured and streamlined by someone sitting in the office, you'd maybe get 6 or 7 jobs done. So that takes its effect over time. Another post that I spotted about people not taking prepayment or taking deposits. It gives the customers the ability to cancel really easily. Some guys saying, "Oh yeah, I love a cancelled job. I get a bit more time to myself." It's like when your profits are really squeezed, that's not really a good attitude to have.
No, definitely not.
It's all right if you're making a lot of money, but if you're not, then it's a bad thing to have. And that again compounds over time. The odd, one job a week, could be, 1 or 2 jobs a week could be £1,000 down at the end of the month.
And that's your family holiday gone by the end of the year, or whatever it might be that you have to sacrifice because of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Or you have to keep your van a little bit longer because it needs new brakes and tires, and you're like, shit, that's a grand's worth of work, a lot more nowadays. And then the last sort of point really that I want to throw in is taking on the wrong type of work.
This is a huge point. So many people underestimate this, don't they?
Yeah. And this is a podcast in itself, but me and Wayne had a dual one-to-one with one of the newer guys in the group who's got one of the larger businesses. And because it's a very well-established business, they're doing pretty much all lines of work, which causes issues in and of itself. But also then charging different money for different jobs, because again, that's not a business viewpoint. That's a customer I won't be able to charge as much to change a toilet than I can to fit a boiler, or whatever the equivalent is, or change some parts within a boiler, something like that. That's on the same kind of time frame. But again, when you put your business glasses on and you look at it purely from a business angle, the cost to run the business is the same no matter what. Okay, there's some potential variables. If you employ staff that can only do that kind of work, there might be a slight drop in cost to the individual member of staff, but the cost to the business remains the same, doesn't it? So whether you're changing an outside tap or servicing a boiler, the costing to the business is still the same. You've still got to get someone to site. It's still going to take a similar amount of time for certain things if you're piping up, whatever. So not having that dialed in and not working to that business structure is again causing big problems, because you could look at it from that angle. If you're charging more for a particular type of job, why are you not doing more of that type of job?
Yeah.
The solution is to charge the same for everything that you do, sort of in the lines of kind of charging an hourly rate.
Yeah. And a lot of people get scared about that point because they're like, oh, I need the diary full, etc., which is fine. And I understand that if the pricing's right. So you can afford to do the wrong type of work if point number one is in place, isn't it? But it's when you're getting point number 1, 2, and 3 wrong that everything starts to crumble away. And they're rather easy to fix, in my opinion, in this day and age. Like you mentioned earlier, the pricing calculator. You could spend an hour in a coffee shop today, right? Use the pricing calculator, which is completely fucking free, by the way. So there's no excuses. There's no barrier to entry. All you got to do is sign up, like put your name and email address in, and away you go. And I'm too lazy to send emails out, so you're not going to get spammed from me sending out loads of emails either. So you could fix that one today. Yeah. Number 2, probably not as quick of a fix. You got to maybe think about it, speak to people like me and Andy and others out there that get some advice and guidance on how to do structures and how to implement systems into the business. But if those 2 are in place, doing number 3 to fill the diary isn't as painful. But you would hope that if you've got number 1 and number 2 right, number 3 will naturally start to fix itself, because you'll become more sought after. You'll become a more premium service, and you'll be able to start to drop the toilet repair or whatever it might be. Excuse me. Sorry.
Which is brings us on to another point as well. Guys that they might have been going for a while now, and they're seeing the numbers. The reality is your numbers should go up year on year. Your business should grow year on year. Again, for the guys who might challenge that to say, well, actually, I don't want to grow our business. well, I would say your profit should go up year on year, because the busier you get, the more you should put your prices up. You should charge for that quality of service that you're offering. But the not choosing the right type of work then has a knock-on effect as well, because if you're not targeting work that's going to help grow the business in the direction that you want, then you're making the mistake in that, just to get the safety, like you've just mentioned, Wayne, of filling the diary. So if you're doing, like, remedial jobs, again, let's say you your business has the ability to do something like boiler breakdown and servicing, but you're not targeting those kind of customers. You're just sort of waiting to see whatever comes in. So as a result, you book in to swap a hob one day, fill that gap there, or I'm going to swap a siphon on a toilet that day, I'm going to change some kitchen taps on that day. What's going to happen is the chances are that that work is probably not going to get any further than that. Whereas you go and do, let's say, a boiler breakdown, you're probably going to get the repair from it, most likely. And then you're also most likely going to get the service off the back of it as well. So you've got more work from that initial job. And then on top of that, something like a boiler service, you're going to be able to, as long as the customer's informed about it, do that service year on year. So that gives you the ability to compound
and
growth.
eventually get the boiler as well, the boiler sale, isn't it?
Yeah. There's just one example of that.
Yeah.
The other thing as well is that the purpose of this is not to sort of get really deep into the nuance of it, but one point that I wanted to mention is about when you're charging low prices because you just want to see a full diary, you're going to bring in the wrong type of customer. So the customer loyalty generally gets even more reduced then, because customers will just hunt on pricing. Let's use letting agents as the example. If you're charging 50 quid for a CP12 and you've been charging that for a few years, and you realize, actually, I need to put my pricing up, and you put your prices up, the chances are that letting agent will then scramble around to find someone else to do it for the 50 quid that you was doing it for. So yeah, you run the risk of drawing in really shit customers. You also then, if you're cheap on general other works, when a bigger job comes up, they're more likely again to hunt around for multiple quotes rather than be invested within your company. So just a few little points on that. But
and there's price is always a factor, to customers. But I was out with my son yesterday, and he was on one of the Facebook groups, and he saw someone asked about how much people are charging for a safety certificate or a service. Can't remember exactly what it was. And bear in mind, he's a 19-year-old lad. Obviously, he has the benefits. He obviously listens to me and sees what we do. He could not believe the responses, like 55, 60, 65, 70 quid. He was like, why are these people charging so little? So for clarity, we charge 135, and we're busy, and we always have been busy. We've always been at the higher end. I'm actually putting it up to 140 next month because of April the 1st is going up, because of the inflation in the UK at the minute is sitting around 3% again, plus with obviously the fuel and everything that's going on. So I'm not even at the ceiling, like Andy, do you want to share a bit about what you charge for context? And I'm not doing this to sit here and flex my muscles, I'm doing it because I've done the work. I've done the pricing calculator. I've got the structure and the systems in place, and I choose the right work. So I have the luxury now of being able to charge what we need to charge as a business to provide the income for it's not just me, the office lady, the contractors, the apprentice, me as the owner, it all has to be paid for.
Yeah, there's too many lads just sitting in survival mode. For clarity, we're 199 plus VAT for a CP12.
So I'm miles behind you on that, so.
And we get, this is where you need to look at the macro on this rather than the micro, in the fact that we don't do we do a handful of jobs per CP12s per year for letting agents who maybe they're in a pinch. But the majority of our CP12s that we do for home buyers home sellers, direct contact to customer,
Yeah.
or the job's been instructed by a solicitor. Because again, this is the other angle of it. When you've got systems, software, and staff in place, that's where people are placing the value. So, for example, I like to use solicitors as the example when they're instructing the job. They love the fact that there's an admin person, there's a paper trail. They ain't going to go for the 60 quid for the guy that's answered the phone in the van and sent them a text and said, I can probably do it next week. They won't suffer it. So they see the value, more value in the higher price with the better value wrapped around it rather than the cheap competitive price, as opposed to the letting agents, which are the other end of the scale. So again, but our business literally couldn't survive if we were charging 50 quid for a CP12.
Yeah.
Because
and unfortunately, nor can most out there, and they're scraping by. And this brings us back to the point that you made in the last episode, wasn't it? About the 80% of applicants for your roles that you've got available at the moment are coming from the self-employed market, because these people are realizing, they're getting squeezed. They're getting squeezed on absolutely everything, and it's showing the importance of what we've spoke about today and in previous ones, isn't it?
Because if let's say you're 50 quid for a CP12 and you need to be doing, at least 8 of them a day to make, reasonable money, you're starting to put things under a lot of pressure. Maybe you need to do 10 a day because you've got a decent house and a decent car, etc. So what happens is over time, that 50 quid is worth less than it was last year and the year, but people haven't put the prices up because, again, they want to hang on to someone like a letting agents. So what happens then is they have to do 11 jobs a day, and they have to do 12 jobs a day, and so on and so forth, until they go, Jesus, I'm working 14 hours a day and I'm only making 35 grand a year. When I've just done my tax return, the accountant's presented me my numbers, and it's like, well, I had to fix the van and I had to buy a new analyzer, and well, actually, I've only made 35 grand a year. That company down the road's 40 grand a year salary, and they give me a van
with holiday pay,
and no, I don't have to pay for my own analyzer and all the other stuff. And it's like, shit, what am I doing? And I believe that's why we're having the influx now of people who have been self-employed, because you can have one of two things with being self-employed. You can either have more time or you can have more money. You very rarely can have both if you've not built a decent business around it. And that's why, again, you can make more money. And I've had conversations with lads that I know personally, and they're like, oh, I'm making 70 grand a year. Why would I take a 40 grand a year job? But then when you break down the numbers, and again, this is super common in this game, well, they're working 12 hours a day, 6-7 days a week. And I can say that because I've been there myself. 10 years ago, I was making 80 grand a year, which doing boiler breakdowns, which sounds amazing, but I was working 7 days a week, 12, 14 hours a day. So when you scale that down, that's generally, if you strip that back, and this is the mistake that a lot of guys who maybe they worked for British Gas or worked for another company and they go on their own, they go, oh yeah, I make way more money on my own. So, but you're not making a direct comparison, because you do an extra couple of jobs. You might work till 6
you're
that day.
Late in the evenings,
7, and then you squeeze a boiler swap in on a Saturday morning. You make an extra 500 quid on that. So there's your 2 grand a month extra. You're not doing the same thing. You're not getting the same. Yes, you're getting more money, but you're giving up your time for it. And if you work less hours than you would have done in a contracted job, you might want Fridays off or whatever, then you're probably going to take less money home. So but just again, if this is just probably the most common topic that is raised in this game on the forums online, people we speak to. So just get in touch with me and Wayne. We can have a chat or download the pricing calculator. Like Wayne said, it's fucking free. Just download it. If you want to go through it on a free call, we can go through it on a free call. We can give you a little bit of a taste of what sort of support that you're getting off the tools. But yeah, just reach out.
Yeah, definitely reach out. If you go on the website, there's links to the pricing calculator and all of our contact details. It's been a pleasure. Do you want to close us out, Andy?
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Don't forget about that offer that we're running that Way mentioned. So like, share, subscribe. and tag us on social media. And we will put you in a draw to win a 1 hour's one-to-one with me and or Wayne. And we can do a deep dive into your business. No commitments, no charge. Just like, share, subscribe, and tag me, Wayne, and Off the Tools in the post.
Let's go, guys.
Let's go.